All Souls-Layer developers today should be asked, what have you done new for this overworked genre? The authors of Dolmen in principle have a lot to answer for. Here we have not the usual dystopian fantasy, but space and sci-fi, which is not common among the Dark Souls followers, except for the Search and Hellpoint. The developers also promised a number of gameplay innovation and said that among other things that were inspired by Lovecraft. What did it turn to be? In fact, what Lovecraft had to do with is not very clear. Yes, the design of some monsters reminds us of the bestiary of Cthulhu's Fort. There's a theme with the intersection of two dimensions, but in general Dolmen tells a standard sci-fi story. The action unfolds on the planet Rivian Prime, inhabited by various monsters. We land here to collect Dolmen, unique and very valuable crystals that can erase the borders between worlds. They need to be taken to the ship so the scientists can study them. The Dolmens are supposed to revolutionize space research and change the usual order things. In the process, you cleanse not only the narrow corridors of half-destroyed complexes from monsters and representatives of fauna, but also more spacious wastelands on the planet's surface. Collect records telling what happened to the native inhabitants of Rivian Prime, periodically meet rare survivors, listen to the instruction and explanation of the expedition leaders, full state of the ship, fight creepy bosses, and watch well-staged videos. Sometimes you also have to solve puzzles of sorts and avoid flying traps and surfaces that can quickly kill a chapter. Of course, it doesn't have the same scope, the same big, elaborate world, the mystery and understanding of Dark Souls. The story in Dolmen is clear, but you still want to know how it ends. The gameplay of Dolmen is the same Dark Souls, only with an amendment on the sci-fi theme. The cold weapons, all the blades and axes are here, and instead of both there are sort of futuristic firearms, including pistols and assault rifles. Instead of fires, there are beacons that allow us to teleport to the ship or move between other beacons like them. Instead of souls, we collect rarities falling out of the defeated enemies, for which on the ship in a special chamber we pump characteristics: strength, dexterity, energy, and endurance, stamina, and knowledge. However, in principle, no one prevents you from popping up any parameter you want. A lot here also depend on what equipment you want to forge on the ship and put on your character. More thin clothes and not weapons have requirements to the levels of one or to another characteristic. All of these clothes, boots, helmet and armor also fall into one of three categories: human, worker and Rivian. In a sense, there are three branches of basic skills. Human, it's about shooting and energy balance. Rivian, about health and endurance, and worker is responsible for protection and resistance, which allow you to get more amenities for killing items and also increase the effectiveness of healing. And the more items for the same set of character is wearing, the more he pumps his bunch and gets bounce from it. But the trick is, even if the character is wearing all human gear, but ribbons boots that will allow him to get bonuses in both that branch and the other. And if my shooter had enough materials to create an item belonging to a non-core category, and for this I had to pump the same non-core stamina and physique. I did it. Anyway, the character will become stronger one way or another, and there are no extra skills in any of the branches. These mechanics look quite interesting and allows you to flexibly customize your build. In general, Dolmen set out for its emphasis on creating, gradually opening up more and more interesting recipes, and create things conveniently. It only enough materials. Almost all items can still be inserted rare and epic artifacts that give additional bonuses to defense and resistance, increasing the damage or attack speed, and so on. These and other materials for crafting not only fall out of the enemies, but can also be clearly hidden in the levels, and still they are not always enough. Therefore, the search for resources simulate not just running headlong ahead, but to explore the location. There are difficulties in combat system. First of all, of course, striking the eye is ability to actively use firearms, alternating between close-in and long-range combat, or even trying to focus on shooting. At the same time, most enemies have resistance and vulnerability to one of the type of element damage: fire, ice, or acid. You have to check this by experience, so it's better to create and carry weapons with different type of elements. In turn, the opponents also often fry us, pour acid on us, or freeze us. It's important to keep an eye on elemental resistance. And for energy too, it's the third vital resource beside health and stamina. Energy powers the suit and is regenerated by batteries. It is a versatile resource that is spent on healing and shooting, replacing the ammunition, and also allows you to activate the energy mode, in which you can fight further even if you turn out of stamina. Stamina is not consumed at all in this mode, but additional element effects are applied to enemies. Switching between short-range weapons, the use of batteries, and the control in general are not entirely convenient. For example, during recharging, the character is completely defenseless, and it can be interrupted by any attack. It seems that some critics began to scold the game precisely because they have had enough of the system. It certainly takes some getting used to, but I won't trash for it. In fact, it is also an element of learning. It is important to learn the tactics and behavior of the battles, not only to understand what and when to hit them better, but also to take advantage of the moment and recharge your batteries. And in general, the energy system brings freshness and even additional depth to the usual solo-player battles. Certainly, Dolmen has something to complain about, including the fact that some checkpoints are far away from the bosses and make you run along of rendezvous through completely empty corridors, but in general it is fascinating. I would even say addictive action RPG with its own atmosphere and interesting gameplay tricks that make it look worthy among the other Soulsiders. So, pros of the game is challenging battles, the dynamically combined ranges, and closest quarter combat, classic Soulside gameplay, duality with interesting ideas, and well-developed crafting system. And cons is there are problems with optimization and control. A little combat system is interesting, but in some places it feels awkward and overloaded. Thank you.